Top speed racing is kind of the thing these days. It's popped up all over. You see stuff going on in standing mile events in several states. But the granddaddy, the biggie, is Speed Week at the Bonneville Salt Flats. And as a matter of fact, in 1949, Hot Rod Magazine helped this event start at the Bonneville Salt Flats. It was the first time hot rodders had run there. To me, it's really got a lot of history, and it's my passion. It's the racing that I like to do. We've run this 81 Camaro there since 2004. I've got a partnership deal with Keith and Tanya Turk where they own the car and Keith sort of manages that mechanical part of it, and I'm in charge of the engines. I failed on that a couple of years ago when a carburetor vent fell through this big block and completely destroyed the engine. We went back and got a record on 2 cylinders, and that destroyed the thing even more. But that was 2011, 2012, we didn't race. This year we had to do it, and so we rebuilt that engine. Finnegan threw it together, we took it out to the dyno at West Tech. It made 1,100 horsepower.
By the time we got to the dyno, I had spent nearly 72 hours straight building the engine over at my shop. I can build an engine in 3 days, but usually I've spent 2 weeks mocking the parts up to make sure they fit before I do that. So this deal, total roadkill, total mess. Nothing bolted onto this engine without some massaging and some cursing.
What we've got here is a big block Chevy. It's 489 cubic inches, which is a 454 with a 1/4 inch stroke in it. The big deal is the Vortex supercharger, which is making 10 pounds of boost, and I'm blowing through a carburetor, which is a little bit unconventional. But the thing is, in the classic category that I'm racing in, you have to have a carburetor, and so this is what I've chosen to do. People also ask, where's your intercooler? The atomization of the gas coming out of the boosters actually pulls heat out of the air, and so you drop 100 degrees across the carburetor. 200 degrees in is 100 degrees out. Now it's Sunday morning, our 3rd day on the Salt. We finally got our act together, ready to race. Even though it's the fastest place on earth, things happen kind of slow. We are going to roll up, put in the spec gasoline for the class that we're running, and then hit the starting line, and we should get a run in early this morning before it turns to be 100 degrees. The current record in the class I'm racing right now is 207 miles an hour, so I'm calculating at what RPM I'll exceed that. In 4th gear, I need to hit 6,500 RPM, and this one is 230.
This is the worst part of racing, the waiting. The tweaker in me wants to take the hood off the car right now and give everything one more look. I don't want to do that though, because it doesn't need anything. But standing around, I have nothing to do, so I'll keep pacing.
When you get to the line, you have to make sure that you are strapped in your car well in advance.
Fire pins out. Parachute, fire off.
You snap up that window net, and you and the Bonneville Salt Flats are all alone, ready for speed.
Fire it up. Upside down.
Our first run was a complete waste of time. I didn't even make it out of 2nd gear before I realized something was way wrong. We had put the gears in upside down in the quick change. Big gear is supposed to go on the bottom and the little one on the top. So the small one goes on the bottom. However, last year when we ran the car, or 2 years ago when we blew up the motor and we set that record on 2 cylinders, we need like a 7-to-1 gear ratio, so we flipped the gears. That was an attempt at like a 6-to-1 gear ratio, which doesn't work very well. So now we are correcting that and giving me the ability to once again run 200 plus miles an hour.
Over on course 1, 462 car, he's flying. 194, 775. Shooters out as he passes the 3 at 200.599.
It was a mess. I couldn't get on it early. I short shifted it to try and make it hook up, but it's just doing this the whole way.
Since our last run, the engine has developed a pretty good misfire. Bad enough that we're pulling valve covers, and now we're going through the ignition system.
That ignition box had been in the car for 6 years or more, so it's not surprising it finally died. The new ignition system seemed to fix the misfire. We had one more run left of the day.
Out at 191.658, exit speed of 199.840.
That is a lot like a racetrack, except more like a sandbox. There is no traction to be had whatsoever. Hopefully we'll be able to hit our number tomorrow, because we did not today. Best we could run is 200 even when we needed to go 207 to qualify for that record. Every morning at the Bonneville Salt Flats, the first thing that happens is record return runs. All of the cars that qualified for a record the previous day line up and parade out to the starting line and get their very first chance at running down the track in the morning. It's 7 a.m., sun just peeking over the horizon, and this is going to be our best opportunity all week to put down a good number in this class, because they moved the track last night, so we have fresh salt, we've put more boost in the car, we have less gear. Cross your fingers.
Our 462 now underway on course 1. Current temperature is 82 degrees outside. Humidity is relatively high here at 24% this morning. Came through 2 at 170.649. Through the quarter at 188.417. 190.924. By 4, shoots out 185.677.
Motor's history. The bottom line is, we stepped up the boost on this thing, I leaned it out, and it blew up. I should have smelled the oil, I should have felt the power going away, it was just all over.
It would be easy to be depressed about what happened, all that hard work, all that money going into a car, and then we don't get a record. But let's be honest here, David just went 217 miles an hour in a super old Camaro with an engine that we built in 3 days.
One year, we set 5 records in 5 days in 5 different classes. I have never left Speed Week without setting a record. That is until now. But you know what? I blame Roadkill.